Hey everyone, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Marisha Runyon and I'm a graduate student at Coast Carolina in the sport management program. This is a presentation on my internship and my special project. So just a quick overview of what we're going to go over. I'm going to have an introduction of my internship. We're going to discuss the goals and objectives that I set for my internship, my experience throughout the whole internship, and a self-analysis, recommendations for future students, learning applications, and then we're going to go into my special project at the end. So I did my internship at World Fast Pitch Connection, or WFC. I used to play in these tournaments when I was younger, and I've always just really showed up to tournaments to play. I've never really looked at the behind the scenes. So I thought this was going to be a really cool opportunity for me. WFC started a little over 20 years ago. It's a family-run business. It's based out of Myrtle Beach. They run softball tournaments across the state of South Carolina. They have gone into Virginia and Maryland, North Carolina, other states, but mainly all the tournaments are in South Carolina. So I set myself 5 goals for the internship. The first one is to master technical skills with Microsoft Office and Corel Draw. Corel Draw is the software program that our t-shirt designer uses to design the t-shirts and to make our tournament shirts. So my objective for this is to design a t-shirt on my own that will be used for the clinic and approved by Stacy, our t-shirt designer, and Ben, who is my supervisor. I feel like I met this goal. You'll see later on that I designed a t-shirt on my own that was used for the clinic. My second goal is to improve my interpersonal skills and customer service skills. By the end of the internship, I will be a site director at a tournament by myself. So I did meet this goal as well. You'll see at the end, our last tournament, I was a site director on my own for one of our biggest tournaments, the Summer Nationals. My third goal was to gain an understanding of all of the WFC rules. So by the end of the internship, I should be able to answer any WFC rule questions and have my supervisor or a tournament director that I'm with approve it and make sure I answered them correctly. We always have people coming up to us, whether it's players, parents, coaches, with questions, and definitely a ton of questions about the rules. So I did meet this as well. I really started to gain an understanding of all of the rules. My fourth goal is to expand my network. So at the end of the internship, I'll have at least 3 people I could reach out to for help with a potential career. So this involved, going out to talk with the coaches or talk with parents or even workers at the complexes that we were at, so that I can expand my network. And then my 5th goal was to stay organized. As much stuff that this internship entails, it's important to stay organized. So I know that I met this goal because at the end of this, I was able to put my e-portfolio together very easily. I had all of my work at hand and I was able to easily access it. So my experience throughout my internship, I scheduled pool play games. I allotted time slots for pool play and bracket play games. I communicated with the teams via text, via email, via phone calls, and I designed and screen printed t-shirts. I organized the apparel. In our warehouse, we have tons of shelves full of t-shirts, so I had to organize them with their color and their sizes and make sure that was neat and ready for our t-shirt designer to pick out the shirts whenever she needed them. I sold merchandise at the tournaments, so I needed to figure out the prices for everything and make sure I was always telling the correct price. I was a tournament site director, and I was also a clinic director, which is my special project that I will discuss a little later. So self-analysis, I had to learn to deal with confrontation and conflicts. I've never been a big fan of problems, and so I hated when we would have parents or coaches come up to me and confront me about possible wrong call with umpire or any sort of problem that they had. But throughout the whole entire internship, I learned to be comfortable in these uncomfortable positions, so it really helped me in the long run. I had to step into the leadership role. Our very last tournament, like I mentioned, I was a site director, so I was there on my own, and I was able to answer all the questions and really become the leader that I needed to be for everyone at this tournament. And I really just had a firsthand look at what it takes to run a tournament. Like I said, I've always played in them, but I've never actually taken a look at the behind the scenes for it. So recommendations for future students: don't be afraid to admit when you're wrong. There were numerous times where I may have said the wrong thing, or we had scheduling mistakes, or just different areas where we were wrong. But I learned to admit that I was wrong, and people respect you for that. So we would give them, some balls or a bucket or some pins or something to really, at first we'd apologize, and then we would give them something for a token. And it really did help. Get your scheduling done in plenty of time. As chaotic as this internship was, it was very important to get the scheduling done way ahead of time so that we could send it out to teams and let them prepare for their weekends. Kill people with kindness. You'll have people that get mad, but if you kill them with kindness, they're going to end up being okay with you in the long run. Stay organized. Very, very important. I can't stress that enough. Master Microsoft Office, because you can use that with whatever career you're in, and get a software program. For this specific internship, we do the scheduling by hand, and it would definitely help if we got a software program, and we did realize that. Learning applications. I learned the importance of a leadership role. We've talked about it all throughout our time in graduate school with the sport management program. You're going to be the one that everyone looks to, and it's important to be okay and be comfortable in that leadership position. Managing an event, it takes a lot to actually manage this event. You deal with a ton of different people, and it's important to be prepared for this. And then all the rules and policies, whether it was our WFC rules or if it was the policies of the complexes that we were playing at. So for my special project, I was a clinic director. So I prepared a skills clinic for the teams that would participate in the Summer Showcase Tournament. So every summer at the beginning of July, WFC hosts a Summer Showcase Tournament where college coaches will come. And that Friday before they start, we'll host a clinic for them to show off their skills. It was from 5 to 9 that Friday night. And it really just gave the girls an opportunity to work with different college coaches, work one-on-one with them, and learn all the different coaching philosophies that may be out there in these specific colleges. And then at the end, we gave them a chance to scrimmage. So preparation is key. That's one big thing that I learned throughout the whole entire process, especially for this clinic. So these are just a list of things that I had to do to prepare for the clinic. I had to send out the initial email to the teams participating in the tournament, and I also created a flyer that I would send out in the email. So with the email, I gave an introduction of who I was. I sent out the flyer. I sent out a medical release form and a registration form, and I let them know that they had to send the $75 payment in order to secure a spot. I reached out to the college coaches about working the camp. Luckily, our former tournament director actually got in touch with coaches back in May to let them know and ask them if they wanted to work the camp. So all I had to do was touch base with them to see if they were still willing to work the camp. We ended up having 8 total coaches, which is pretty good for a total of 48 girls that we had participating. So keep up with the girls who sent in their forms and payment. Unfortunately, as an intern, I did not have access to the mail. So I had to rely on Ben and Kelly, one of our other tournament directors, to give me the forms and let me know that they had paid so that I can put them on the roster. I did have some girls tell me that they sent their forms and sent their payments, but it hadn't gone through yet, and I didn't get anything. So what I did was have them email me a form and a filled out form, and then give me their payment at the time of check-in. And if for some reason their check did go through beforehand, then they wouldn't worry about it. I created an itinerary for the coaches and the players. It, of course, had to be different for the players. It was kind of more basic, but then for the coaches, it had their assignments of where they were supposed to be. I also created a checklist for all of the equipment that I would need for the clinic. I designed and screen printed t-shirts. So throughout the internship, I was learning how to screen print and working on Corel Draw just a little bit. But for this clinic, it was my goal to create it all on my own. So Stacy did help me with some minor things here and there, but for the most part, it was all on my own. And I felt like it was a great shirt. And then I had to heat press the numbers onto the back of the shirt. I had to make sure that there are no duplicates at all. I had to print out copies of everything, and then I had to prepare the check-in at the field. So this is the flyer that I created. It has a brief introduction, has where it's at, the time, the location, the price, the colleges attending, and then how to get a hold of me. So this is what I sent out in the initial email. This is the initial email that I sent out. Again, you see the flyer, the medical release form, and the registration form, and I made sure I created that relationship with the coach by introducing myself and letting them know exactly what I was emailing them for. Now, the top right is the sheet that I made, the Excel sheet that I made for check-in. So I organized it by their last name, so it was easy, and I did the t-shirt size and the number. So what we did was organize all of the shirts by their sizes. So then the girls would tell us their size after they checked in. They would tell us their size and then tell us their number. And then it was easy to just flip through and find the numbers. And then the bottom left is a list of the complete roster of the girls. It's a sample of the roster, and it's got all the information that the coaches would need if they're interested in recruiting one of these girls. This is the coach's handout that I gave, of course, an introductory letter thanking them for coming. And then this is the itinerary for the coaches. So I designated them, every single one of them, with a certain station so that they knew exactly where they were going, when they were going. And then I gave them the pitching assignments and the catching assignments so that if they're interested in one of the pitchers or catchers, they could leave their particular station and go watch. This is the introductory letter that I sent out to all of the players and just kind of gave them a heads up of what they should look forward to and thank them for coming. The itinerary for them, again, their pitching and catching assignments. It made it really easy. They should know exactly where to go. I did have an air horn as well, so they were able to transition after the air horn. These are the team assignments. I sent it out the night before. We did have some minor adjustments, but I did have a master copy at check-in to make sure there were no changes. This is a shirt that I made. The design, I used a template, and then I went from there. I was going to use navy and aqua blue at first, my favorite colors, but then I decided on the red and black because Stacy had already made a red and black t-shirt for the actual clinic. This is the machine I use. You can screen print 4 shirts at a time, and then that's what it looks like. So the goals for the special project, my first goal was to effectively communicate with teams that are attending the clinic and the coaches that are helping with the clinic. I feel like I definitely did do this. Communication was pretty good throughout the whole entire process. My second goal was to evaluate the effectiveness of the clinic, hoping to receive positive feedback. I feel like I failed at doing this, or actually I know I failed at doing this because I did not get any surveys put together to provide me with any feedback. My third goal is to improve my graphic design skills, which I did. Be prepared and stay organized was my fourth goal, which I definitely did as well. Self-analysis. I should have made calls to the coaches as well as sent the emails. I did send emails, but I should have made calls because not everyone checks their emails. I learned how much work it takes to successfully prepare a clinic. I took on a big leadership role. I had to always have answers. I learned to be proactive. I was more proficient with Microsoft Office and Corel Draw. I was forced to talk in front of a big crowd, which helped my presentation skills tremendously. And then I gained relationships with the college coaches that attended. Recommendations: start preparations early. It takes a lot of work and you need to show that you are prepared. Be an expert. Be prepared to make adjustments, and you never know who's watching, so always make sure you're doing the right thing and that you do have the right answers. And then here's some pictures of the clinic. We've got, the discussions that I led. There's some stations. The top right is at nighttime when we're closing it, and we're having a Q&A panel with the coaches.